And so now I am going to launch into our celebrating 25 years, 1999. In 1999. So we started late 1997, but actually we're incorporated in 1998. So in 1999, we celebrated our first birthday party on January 30th. And that party was planned by Annie Kopko. Yay. I know. I mean, so hard to remember so far back. It was a potluck, and we had the contra dance with music by Sandy River Bell Dance Band, and it was called by Dave Siebold. And 75 people attended that first party. So it was really wonderful. I do remember being at the party. At the time, the Board of Trustees were all the people that were the previous year, with the addition of Mary Merton. So we shifted the chair. So Pat Adams was the chair, Bob Hopkins was the secretary, Annie Kopko, Mary Merton, and Sally Searles were the members. And at that time, we had a 5-member board. They were studying the John Carver book, Boards That Make a Difference, and our board was designed to follow the structure that was suggested in that book. We were a visioning board, and we still are, although not necessarily only sticking to that method. You know, we were sort of more eclectic in terms of our board model, but visioning is still a very big part of it, and not micromanaging the daily activities of the center. Of course, even back then and now, people wear multiple hats. And so you might be a board member and you're also in charge of some committee, or, you know, involved in other groups and doing the nitty gritty daily activities. But the board itself is a visioning board. We were still meeting at Allen School, but we were looking for other places to rent or to build. We looked at land. So, you know, we looked at the Greenwood Church as an option. We were meeting with Barbara Brodsky of the Deep Spring Center for meditation and spiritual inquiry, and talked about having sort of a joint venture with them as far as sharing space. And that project went on for several years, and it never really came to fruition, although a few years ago they were renting space here before COVID, and having many of their classes here. And there's like 6 pages. I'm not going to read it all. I'll leave it out on the table, though, if anybody wants to read the details. Our youth ed staff had expanded a bit. We had Sue Booker still and Mary Beth Gandy working with the small children. Jackie Kilburn joined to work with the teens, and also Larry Toth. And Don Cody was involved with teaching the teens a little bit that year. We had our first rite of passage for a young man that was part of the older youth group named Darren Will. And the youthful spirits, as we called and still call our kids, they presented a play called The Cafe of Life. And the basic theme was, what you order in life is what you get. And I remember it was very humorous. And Erin Kilburn, Jackie's daughter, and Pat Adams' daughter, and Darren Hayes, Christine Stivers, and Alex Toth were in that play. Alex Toth is Annie's son, who's now like 30-something, right? 35. We had 3 music directors that year. The first one, Reza Salamova Parmentier, and then Maya M, or Eam, I'm not sure how to say her name. And then in May 1999, Alora Massaro. Long time. Thank you so much, Alora, for being our music director. You're the best. You're the best. We had lots of different guest musicians. We started a committee to create our own songbook, and we've had a revision of that over the years too. But one of our members, Karen Rodriguez, who was Rod Rodriguez's wife, had passed away in, I believe it was 1998. And in her honor, she left some money, and in her honor, we dedicated this songbook to her. And because she was a singer and she loved to sing, and so that was our first songbook. We started a Sunday morning healing group. It met at 9:30 a.m. and I think Annie was a big force, yes, in getting that started. Her and her husband Larry Toth were involved, Maurice and Lance Clark. I saw Maurice, there you are. They were involved in that, Kathy Dyer, and I know there were others, but don't have their names. Somebody's car. Or phone. It sounded like a car alarm. And the healing group had proposed back then that we have an alternative service once a month. And in September of 1999, that year, we had a drumming circle as our Sunday service. And we did do that every once a month for quite a while. Having like just a meditation, or we sat in a circle, or something more experiential, you might say. We started the prayer ministry. Joy Pendleton was heading that up. Joy, it was at your house. I know Dave Bell was involved and a few others, and that went on for many years. But so what I'm interested, as I was reading about 1999 and the things we got started really quite soon after becoming an organization, is that some of these things have fallen by the wayside. And we actually talked at our spiritual support Let's Get Together meeting. Our spiritual support team talked about reinvigorating the prayer ministry, and there will be a prayer box set out soon. And as part of our meeting, we will include a period of prayer for all things and specific things that you might write on the prayer request. That year, we also had the adults do a play, the Interfaith Players, they were called, and they did The Little Soul in the Sun. And that was Brenda Gillies, Bob Hopkins, Annie Kopko, Rod Rodriguez, and Diana Chapman. We had 3 changes in newsletter editors. Started our newsletter in 1998, pretty much, and Karen Gallup was the editor, and then Judy Bell became the editor, and then Joy Pendleton became the interim editor. I don't know how long that interim lasted, but we started to develop a membership directory, and that was headed up by Howard Flesher. We had potlucks on Sundays. It was the first Sunday of the month, and that had continued until COVID. So maybe pretty soon we'll be bringing that back. We had book groups that met at people's houses. And we had an adult education committee form to develop the spiritual practitioner curriculum. And that was started in June 1999. This was a series of weekly classes, and there were multiple classes over, I believe it was a 2-year period. And you could take all the classes and get a certificate as a spiritual practitioner, or anybody could just take any one of the classes, or however many they wanted that they were interested in. There were A Course in Miracle groups every day of the week except Saturday. And that was partly, designed by, our center, and partly because people in our community had Course in Miracles groups that they were already leading. So, Dave Bell and Dave did the Monday group, and he's still doing the Monday group, same time, different place, and others. And Joy had her Course in Miracles group on Fridays, and that lasted 10 years, and I was part of that every week. We had a women's retreat. Can you believe all this in 1 year? A women's retreat in February that year. And then we had this long list of a whole page of guests that did workshops and spoke. So including Wayne Dyer, Sonia Choquette, John Mundy, Mary Sigmund, John Freelander, Roger Housden, Scott Kallichstein, Donna Eden about energy medicine, and so on. And also Norma Gentili was part of our community way back then. She'll be doing a workshop in December this year. We had our first yard sale. It was called a barn sale, and it was at the home of Michelle and Paul Mooney. And that was designed where 10% of the proceeds went to the Interfaith Center. Annie says I'm running out of time. All right. I'm on the last page, actually. A whole bunch of social events. Top of the park, believe that? Bob Hopkins, top of the park. Still doing it. We went canoeing on the Huron River. We had a Labor Day cookout and potluck, picnic, a nature walk, moonlit nature walk, a road rally, a 50s party, and a holiday cookie exchange. So that's it. So, sorry, I know I went over a little bit. I think we got less productive over the years, but